If you still believe the world rewards merit, then you are exactly the type of person Julius Caesar would step on without hesitation. Because Caesar didn't win because he was the best. He won because he understood one cold truth. People don't follow truth. They follow spectacle. Friends don't follow loyalty. They follow advantage. And the Senate didn't rule Rome. Rome was ruled by whoever controlled fear. Caesar wasn't murdered because he was weak. He was murdered because he became too big. And today, in this class, I'm going to show you 7 lessons Julius Caesar left behind. Lessons the world still uses against you while you remain unaware. If you want to be the player and not the piece, stay. Julius Caesar is not just a historical figure. He is an archetype, a man who understood human nature and turned that understanding into dominance. He understood early that the world is not ruled by the righteous. It's ruled by those skilled in influence. And this is the first noir key. Caesar was loved by the people, hated by the elite, and feared by everyone. That's the perfect position of power. Large enough to be loved, dangerous enough to be avoided. If you want to see Caesar beyond the myth, read Plutarch's life of Julius Caesar at some point. Not because it's history, but because it shows the man in motion. And motion is where power lives. Now let's enter the 7 lessons. Lesson 1. Power is not strength. It is control of perception. The biggest mistake ordinary men make is thinking power is muscle, money, or rank. Caesar proved the opposite. Power is perception. You don't need to be the strongest. You need to be seen as inevitable. Caesar understood propaganda before the word propaganda existed. He knew image creates political reality. He didn't sell victories. He sold destiny. When people looked at him, they didn't see a general. They saw Rome expanding. And that is dangerous, because when a man becomes a symbol, he becomes larger than the state. Modern example. You can be competent, but if nobody sees it, you don't exist. You can be strong, but if you look weak, nobody respects you. You can be right, but if you have no presence, you're irrelevant. How to apply this in real life? You must build strategic public presence, even if your life feels small right now. 1. Speak less, but with clarity. 2. Make your results visible. 3. Never describe yourself as weak, even as a joke. 4. Become associated with one trait: discipline, control, ambition, competence. Caesar understood. The crowd doesn't respect essence. It respects image. If you want to understand this deeper, read Suetonius, The 12 Caesars. It's not just biography. It's an autopsy of power theatre. Or Lesson 2. The masses do not think. The masses feel. This is eternal law. The Senate was rational. The people were emotional. Caesar didn't try to defeat the Senate with logic. He conquered the crowd through emotion, because most people don't decide through analysis. They decide through impulse, and then create justification. That's why Caesar was dangerous. He spoke to instinct. He gave the people victories to feed pride, enemies to feed rage, hope to feed devotion, spectacle to feed addiction. He understood something most men refuse to accept. Emotion is control. Where emotion rises, obedience follows. Modern example. You see it everywhere. Politicians manipulate with fear. Influencers manipulate with desire. Friends manipulate with guilt. Relationships manipulate with neediness. How to move a room. If you want to persuade, stop trying to prove. Start trying to move. 1. Identify the dominant emotion: fear, envy, hope, rage. 2. Offer an emotional outlet: enemy, mission, symbol. 3. Use simple language, repetition, rhythm. Caesar didn't speak to sound intelligent. He spoke to create motion. To see this weaponized perfectly, read Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, not as literature. Study it as a dissection of crowd psychology. Watch how a population changes its truth in minutes. Lesson 3. Whoever controls alliances controls the board. Caesar didn't rise alone. He built alliances like invisible armies. Deals, pacts, exchanges, concessions. This is the brutal truth. Most people lose because they try to win through personal effort only. But the real world isn't fair. It's political. And politics isn't government. Politics is the distribution of power. Caesar was a master at that. He treated relationships as weapons. Some are shields, some are bridges, some are knives waiting in silence. He understood. Loyalty is not emotion. Loyalty is structure. Modern example. At work, a talented man with no allies becomes a permanent worker. A man with allies becomes untouchable. Socially, a man who is liked but has no network becomes prey. A man with a network becomes law. Caesar's alliance protocol 1. Never depend on one person 2. Build 3 layers. Above, equal. Below 3. Give value before asking for power 4. Never reveal full strategy to allies 5. Separate friend from ally. Friends are emotion. Allies are interest. Caesar understood. People change. Interests change. Power survives by managing alliances like an empire. Lesson 4. If you want to win, control time. The average man reacts to time. Caesar controlled time. He understood tempo. And whoever controls tempo controls psychological warfare. He knew when to advance and when to wait, when to strike and when to negotiate, when to be brutal and when to be generous. Dominance isn't just decision, it's timing. Simple truth. You can be right, but at the wrong time, your truth becomes weakness. You can be smart, but move too early, and you expose yourself. Move too late, and you lose position. Caesar was a predator of timing. How to master timing? Before any major move, ask. 1. What do I gain if I act now? 2. What do I gain if I wait? 3. Who is emotional right now? Me or them? Never negotiate emotional. Never attack when the enemy is ready. Caesar attacked when the enemy was divided. Lesson 5. Mercy is strategy, and also a risk. This is the Caesar most people misunderstand. He was famous for clemency. He often pardoned defeated enemies. That looked like virtue, but it was psychological warfare, because mercy creates something deadly, moral debt. A pardoned man feels gratitude, shame, submission. But here is the noir truth. If you pardon without neutralizing threat, you're creating your assassin, and that is exactly what happened. He spared men who later betrayed him. Modern example. You forgive small betrayals, disrespect, disloyalty, sabotage, fake friends. You call it maturity, but often it's weakness disguised as peace. You're teaching people you are cheap to hurt. How to use mercy intelligently. 1. Forgive, but never restore full access. 2. Keep them alive, but reduce their power. 3. Don't mistake mercy for trust. 4. Never let forgiveness erase structure. Caesar's clemency created devotion, but also left dangerous snakes inside the room. Lesson 6. Betrayal doesn't come from the enemy. It comes from the kiss. This is the most bitter lesson of power. Caesar didn't die in battle. He died at the center of politics, in the Senate, surrounded by well-dressed, educated, honorable men, and among them, friends. This is the tragedy of power. The higher you rise, the more envy you attract, disguised as loyalty. The distant enemy hates you openly. The close enemy smiles. And the smile is the knife resting. Modern example. you start winning, and you notice jokes about your ambition, sarcasm when you speak of projects, people disappearing when you rise, people appearing only to harvest Caesar lived that. Detecting betrayal early won. Observe reactions to your victories too. Notice who minimizes your success. 3. Watch for poisoned compliments 4. Notice who gets uncomfortable when you grow 5. Never grant full access just because someone likes you. Ask yourself, who celebrates your win like it's theirs, and who tolerates it like it's poison? The lesson 7. Power kills those who forget that power creates panic. Final lesson, most important. Caesar was murdered because he became too inevitable, and inevitable power creates panic in others. When a man rises too high, he becomes an existential threat to everyone below, even if he is fair, even if he is right, because power is not morality. Power is survival. They don't think, he's a great leader. They think, if he keeps rising, I disappear. That fear killed Caesar. The elite could not allow one man to become larger than Rome. Modern example. You see this in companies, social circles, even relationships. When someone grows too much, others attempt to cut them down with rumors, isolation, sabotage, betrayal. How to grow without becoming an easy target 1. Grow quietly. 2. Share visible wins strategically to reduce resentment 3. Never humiliate those who lost 4. Build alliances before you need them. 5. Control your threat level. Appear strong, never arrogant 6. Always keep one hidden weapon. One card no one knows about Caesar. Rose too fast in a world full of smaller men. And small men in groups. Become assassins. Julius Caesar left 7 eternal laws. 1. Power is perception. 2. Masses follow emotion, not logic. 3. Alliances are the battlefield 4. Timing is dominance 5. Mercy is both weapon and danger 6. Betrayal comes from close proximity 7. Power creates panic, so protect yourself. If you understand Caesar, you understand the world, because Rome never ended. It just changed clothes. Julius Caesar didn't die because he was weak. He died because the world does not forgive men who become too inevitable. And that is the final truth. Power attracts applause, but it also attracts knives. If you want to rise, rise with strategy, rise with reading, rise with cold control, because history repeats the same lesson. The world doesn't destroy the weak. The world destroys the strong who forget they are surrounded. Subscribe. Comment. Caesar. And remember, Rome didn't belong to the most righteous. It belonged to the most lucid.